The twin suns of Epsilon 9 hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows over the rocky terrain of the mining colony. Dust swirled in the gentle winds that carried the metallic scent of the mining operations. The colony itself was a small cluster of domed buildings, connected by narrow walkways and dotted with mining machinery that hummed constantly. Life here was harsh, but humans had adapted. One such human, a young engineer named Kai, walked briskly across the plateau, his boots kicking up small clouds of red dust. Kai was lean and quick. With hands scarred from years of handling sharp tools and heavy machinery, today he had been repairing the colony's energy shield generator, a vital structure that protected the settlement from the frequent meteor showers that swept across the planet. He adjusted the final calibration panel, tapping on the control pad until a soft hum indicated the shield was fully operational. Good, Kai muttered to himself, wiping sweat from his brow. The sun's heat was relentless, and his uniform clung to him uncomfortably. He took a moment to scan the horizon. Nothing unusual appeared at first, just rocks, dust, and the distant outlines of the other domes. But then, he saw it. A shadow moved unnaturally fast across the cliff edge, almost too quick for the eye to follow. It wasn't a bird or a drone. It had a shape tall and thin, with limbs that stretched in ways human limbs did not. Kai froze, his instincts kicking in. He had seen many alien species in his life, but this one was rare. Very rare. Not many humans had encountered her kind. And those who had often did not return to tell the story. The figure stepped into the light, and Kai could see her clearly for the first time. She was a girl, though not human. Her skin shimmered faintly, a soft silver that reflected the sun's light. Her eyes glowed with an otherworldly blue, large and intelligent, with a hint of fear. She moved cautiously, her body low and ready. Cornering Kai near the edge of the cliffs, Kai's heart raced, but he kept his voice calm. "Hey, I don't want any trouble," he said, raising his hand slightly to show he was unarmed. The alien girl tilted her head, her eyes studying him. Her species communicated more with gestures and subtle movements than words. She crouched lower, making herself appear even smaller, but no less threatening. Her fingers flexed unnaturally, each movement precise, like a predator ready to strike. Kai noticed something strange. Despite her threatening posture, there was hesitation in her movements. She wasn't attacking him outright. Instead, she seemed cautious, almost uncertain. Kai's curiosity overcame his fear. He had learned to read body language from years of dealing with unpredictable machines and miners alike, and now, strangely, he could read her as well. "I know you're scared," Kai said softly. "I don't want to hurt you. Just calm down." The alien girl blinked slowly, her glowing eyes narrowing as if she were trying to decide whether to believe him. Her species was instinctively distrustful of humans, and their first reaction was usually aggression. But something about Kai was different. Something told her he understood more than she thought. Kai's mind raced. He had studied alien species for most of his life, learning patterns, gestures, and even tiny tells that revealed a creature's intent. And now, standing before him, cornered, he realized he already knew her secret. She wasn't here to attack him. She was running. Something had forced her out of hiding, something dangerous. His heart sank as he recognized the signs, her glowing eyes, her tense posture, the way she moved with controlled desperation. She was hunted. "You're not here to fight me, are you?" he asked cautiously. The alien girl froze, then slowly lowered her stance slightly. Her head tilted, and she made a soft clicking sound, her version of a sigh, Kai guessed. She was listening. She was testing him. Kai took a careful step closer, slowly, deliberately. "I can help you," he said. "I know you're in trouble. I can help you get away." Moment nothing happened. The wind carried the faint sounds of distant mining machines, and the sun shone down, reflecting off the cliffs and creating a dazzling but dangerous glare. Then, the alien girl shifted slightly, as if considering his words. Kai's mind worked quickly. If he could gain her trust, they might both survive the dangers that lay ahead. He continued speaking softly, careful not to make sudden movements. I've dealt with many species before. I've seen hunters, predators, even some who wanted to harm their own kind. I know what it looks like when someone is being hunted. You're not lying to me. I can see it. The alien girl's glowing eyes flickered, a sign of her uncertainty. She had been trained to never trust outsiders, but something in Kai's demeanor was different. Perhaps it was the calm in his voice, or the steadiness in his movements, or maybe she sensed that he already knew her secret. Kai noticed a faint scar along her wrist, a mark that spoke of struggle. He had seen similar markings on other alien scouts before. They were often left by enemies within their own ranks. She was young, alone, and desperate. And now she was cornered, with only him standing between her and her pursuers. Kai took another careful step closer. I'm not your enemy, I promise. But you can't stay here. They'll find you if you do. Come with me. I'll protect you. The alien girl made another clicking sound, this time longer, almost like hesitation mixed with caution. Her body remained tense, but she did not attack. Instead, she moved slightly to the side, giving Kai a small opening. Kai didn't move aggressively. Instead, he took it as a sign of trust, however small. Slowly, he extended his hand, palm open as a gesture of peace. You don't have to fight, he said. Not here. Not now. The girl's eyes flickered with a strange emotion, fear. Yes, but also curiosity. She stepped closer, cautiously inspecting his hand. Then, after what felt like an eternity, she touched it lightly with her own delicate fingers. Kai felt a spark of relief. It wasn't full trust, but it was enough. Enough to keep her from striking, at least for now. He knew they had to move to find a safer place where they could talk without the threat of discovery. He glanced around. The cliffs offered some cover, but the terrain was harsh. Dust and rocks could slow down a human, let alone an alien. But Kai had an idea. He pointed to a narrow canyon nearby. That way, he said. It's not far, and it's safer. We can talk there. The alien girl hesitated, then nodded slightly, indicating agreement. She moved with silent grace, almost floating over the rocky ground, and Kai followed carefully behind. Every step he took, he kept his senses alert. He could feel the tension in the air, the sense of being watched. She was being hunted, and they were not alone. As they reached the canyon, Kai took a deep breath. The shadows here were longer, darker, offering concealment from prying eyes. The alien girl crouched low, still wary, but she no longer seemed aggressive. She studied Kai with her glowing eyes, as if testing whether his intentions were genuine. Kai decided to speak again. I know your secret, he said softly. I know why you're here, and I know why they're after you. You're not just running. You're trying to warn someone, aren't you? The alien girl's eyes widened slightly. She had not expected him to understand so quickly. She had been careful, trained to hide her intentions, but he had seen through it. And now, standing in the shadowed canyon, she realized something. This human engineer, could be her only chance. For a long moment, neither spoke. The canyon echoed with the soft hum of distant machines and the occasional gust of wind. Then, slowly, the alien girl made a soft sound, a wordless acknowledgement that she understood. She was ready to trust him. At least a little. Kai felt a sense of cautious hope. This encounter could change everything. He did not yet know what dangers lay ahead. But he knew one thing for certain. He would protect her, and together. They might just survive the hunt that was coming. As the suns dipped lower, casting the canyon in shades of orange and purple, Kai and the alien girl moved deeper into the shadows. The adventure had begun, and both of them knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The canyon walls rose high on either side, jagged and worn by centuries of wind and sand. Shadows stretched long in the fading light of the twin suns, creating pockets of darkness that seemed alive with quiet movement. Kai led the alien girl carefully along a narrow path, every step deliberate, his senses alert. Behind them, the distant sounds of mining machinery faded, leaving only the soft whisper of wind and the crunch of their boots against the rocky ground. The girl moved silently beside him, her steps light and precise. Her glowing blue eyes flickered occasionally, scanning the terrain as if she could sense danger before it arrived. Kai had learned early in life to read subtle signs, and now he saw them in her movements. She was cautious, yes, but also intelligent, calculating, and most surprisingly trusting him more with each passing moment. Once they reached a small alcove tucked into the canyon wall, Kai gestured for her to pause. The alcove was just large enough to offer shelter from prying eyes and provided a clear view of the surrounding area. He crouched, motioning for her to do the same. The girl obeyed, settling silently beside him, her eyes reflecting the last light of the sun's dot. Kai studied her carefully. "You're running from someone," he said softly, "aren't you?" The girl tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes narrowing. She didn't speak, not in words, but her posture spoke volumes. She was alert, defensive, yet she didn't retreat. She was hiding something, something important, and Kai could sense it. "I know your secret," Kai continued, keeping his voice low. "You're not here to attack humans. You're trying to warn someone, aren't you?" The girl froze for a heartbeat, then slowly exhaled. A faint hum escaped her throat, a sound of acknowledgement. Kai had guessed correctly. She wasn't a predator in this moment. She was a messenger. A scout fleeing from a dangerous faction of her own species. Kai's mind raced. He knew the stories of her people, whispered in human records and scientific logs. Rarely did humans encounter them, and when they did, it was often violent. They were a proud and secretive species, known for their agility, intelligence, and strict codes of loyalty. But now, here she was, a young scout, alone and hunted, seeking help from someone she had been taught to fear. "You're in danger," Kai said gently, "and not from me. From them." He didn't need to name the faction. She already knew who he meant. Her eyes flickered with tension. She was being pursued by her own kind, those who wanted to silence her before she could deliver her warning. The girl made a soft clicking sound, almost like a sigh. She looked away, her gaze fixed on the canyon floor. Kai noticed a faint scar on her wrist, jagged and raw evidence of a recent struggle. The story of her escape was written on her body. Kai spoke again, careful to choose his words. "You don't have to do this alone. I can help you. I know how to move through this terrain safely, and I can keep you hidden until you're ready." For a long moment, the girl said nothing. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. It was not full trust, but it was enough. Enough to signal that she was willing to follow him, at least for now. Kai offered a small smile. "Good. Let's find a safer place. One where we can talk without worrying about being seen." They moved deeper into the canyon, keeping two shadows and using every rock and ledge for cover. Kai explained that humans had built small observation posts along the cliffs, abandoned during the last meteor storm. They could use one as a temporary refuge. The girl listened, nodding, her body tense but cooperative. As they walked, Kai studied her more closely. "You're young," he said carefully, "but not inexperienced. You've been trained." She blinked, a faint glow in her eyes, as if acknowledging the truth. Kai continued, "You know how to survive in dangerous situations, how to move without being seen. But you also have a weakness, trust. You don't trust easily. And that's smart, considering what you're running from." The girl paused, crouching behind a jagged rock, her gaze sharp. She made a series of soft clicks, a language Kai was beginning to understand as a mixture of caution and explanation. He listened carefully, interpreting her gestures and sounds. Each movement told him more about her fears and her purpose. Kai realized that her secret was not just that she was being hunted, but also that her mission was vital. She carried information that could save her people or expose them to destruction. The humans in the colony did not yet know the importance of her warning, but Kai did, and that knowledge gave him power. Not to harm her, but to protect her. After several tense minutes, they reached the abandoned observation post. The structure was small, metal and glass panels partially shattered, but it offered cover from the harsh winds and a view of the canyon entrance. Kai helped her inside, moving cautiously to avoid loose panels. She followed silently, her glowing eyes scanning every corner. Once inside, Kai crouched near a control console, running his hands over the dusty buttons. "This place isn't much," he said, "but it's safe for now. No one will find us here unless they really look. And we have a view of the canyon so we can see anyone coming." The girl settled against a wall, her movements careful and precise. Kai watched her, realizing that this was the first time she had relaxed even slightly since he encountered her. Her species valued caution above all else, but in this moment she trusted him enough to rest. Kai spoke again, gently. "You can tell me what's happening. I won't judge, and I won't betray you, but you need to explain so I can help." The girl tilted her head, then made a soft sound, almost a whisper. She moved her hands slowly, indicating points in the canyon outside. Kai watched, interpreting the gestures. She was showing him the path she had taken, the route her pursuers might follow, and the location of her people. Kai nodded slowly. "I see you're trying to warn your people about something dangerous. Humans, maybe, or something else?" She made a sharp, clicking sound and shook her head slightly. "Not humans. Something more specific. Something that humans might not understand fully." Kai realized she meant that her warning was critical not just to her species, but to the balance of life on this planet. He leaned closer, speaking softly. "Then we need to move carefully. We can't let them catch you, and we can't alert anyone else. But I can help you reach your people. I know the terrain, and I know how to move without being seen." The girl studied him for a long moment. Her glowing eyes reflected a mixture of fear and curiosity. Then, finally, she made a gesture that Kai understood as agreement. They would work together. Kai felt a surge of hope. He had always believed humans could make a difference, and now he had proof. This alien girl, hunted and alone, had chosen to trust him, and he would not fail her. As night fell, the canyon transformed. Shadows deepened, and the twin suns disappeared beyond the horizon, leaving the sky filled with stars. Kai and the alien girl sat together in the observation post, silent but alert. Every sound was magnified, the rustle of wind, the distant howl of canyon winds. The faint hum of machinery far below. Kai spoke again, breaking the silence. "Tomorrow, we start moving. We'll take the safest route to your people. But for now, rest. We need strength for what's coming." The girl nodded, her posture still tense but more relaxed than before. Kai watched her, knowing that trust was growing between them. It was fragile, yes, but it was real. And in the dangerous world they lived in, trust could be the difference between life and death. Kai leaned back, looking out at the stars above. He thought about the journey ahead, the dangers they would face, the unknown forces that hunted her, and the mission she carried. He also thought about something else, the proof that humans could rise to the challenge, could act with courage and empathy even in the harshest circumstances. And then he realized something important. He didn't just want to help her because it was the right thing to do. He wanted to help her because he believed in the better side of humanity, the side that could face fear, understand others, and protect life even when it was difficult or dangerous. The alien girl shifted slightly beside him, her glowing eyes watching the canyon below. Kai smiled faintly, knowing that the first step of trust had been taken. They would face the dangers ahead together, and for the first time, he felt a surge of hope not just for her, but for all of them. Night deepened over Epsilon Nine, wrapping the canyon in silence. The observation post stood firm, sheltering to unlikely allies. One was human, one alien, both carrying secrets, fears, and hope. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Kai knew this. They were no longer alone, and together, they could face whatever came next. For the alien girl, it was the first moment she allowed herself to believe that humans might not be the enemy. For Kai, it was the first moment he realized that understanding another species and knowing their secrets could change the course of everything, and with that shared understanding, a new bond was formed, one that would guide them through the dangers that awaited in the shadows of Epsilon Nine. Dawn broke over the jagged cliffs of Epsilon Nine, painting the sky with pale orange and soft purple. The winds that had carried dust through the canyon the night before were calm now, leaving the air still and heavy with anticipation. Kai was awake early, checking the observation post for any signs of movement. His eyes scanned the canyon carefully. Nothing stirred, no shadows moved in the distance, no figures crouched behind rocks. It was quiet, but Kai knew better than to trust quiet for too long. The alien girl stirred beside him, rising gracefully to her feet. Her glowing blue eyes blinked in the soft morning light, scanning the surroundings with instinctive precision. Kai watched her for a moment, noting how her species' agility and alertness made them exceptional scouts. She moved without a sound, like the wind slipping between rocks, but her tension remained. Despite their shared trust, she was still a creature of caution. Kai approached slowly. "We need to keep moving," he said. "The longer we stay here, the greater the chance they'll find you." The girl's head tilted slightly, acknowledging him. She crouched and moved to the edge of the observation post, signaling him to follow. Kai obeyed, his steps careful. Together, they began descending into the canyon floor, using narrow paths between sharp rocks. Kai pointed out natural cover boulders and overhangs that would hide them from aerial scans or distant observers. She seemed to understand his gestures immediately, moving in sync with him. As they walked, Kai tried to speak softly, hoping to learn more about her mission. "You're going to warn your people," he said. "But what is the danger? What are they running from?" The girl stopped briefly and made a series of soft clicks, pointing toward the distant horizon. Kai interpreted her gestures. She was not referring to humans, but to an internal threat within her own species of faction that opposed her mission. They had been tracking her movements, trying to prevent her from reaching her people. It was clear now, she was a messenger of truth in a world where lies and power struggles could be deadly. Kai nodded, absorbing the meaning. "Then we need to be smart," he said. "We can't outrun them with speed alone. We have to use our heads, predict their moves, and avoid them." The girl tilted her head as if impressed. Perhaps she had expected humans to act with brute force, but Kai's approach was strategic. She followed silently, clearly studying him as much as he was studying her. The canyon narrowed at one point, forcing them to move single file along a jagged ledge. One misstep could mean a long fall to the rocky canyon floor below. Kai went first, testing each foothold carefully. The girl followed, her movements precise and effortless, a testament to her species' natural agility. Despite her grace, she occasionally glanced at him, as if gauging whether he could keep up. Kai caught her eye and gave a reassuring nod. Hours passed as they navigated the canyon, stopping only briefly for water and rest. Kai shared rations from his pack, and she accepted them silently, still wary but cooperative. As the sun climbed higher, they reached a small underground stream, a hidden oasis in the otherwise harsh landscape. The alien girl knelt beside it, drinking carefully, her eyes scanning the surroundings. Even in this small moment of respite, Kai settled beside her. "We should talk more," he said softly. "I want to understand your mission. I want to help." She glanced at him, her glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight. Then, slowly, she gestured toward a small stone shelf beside the stream. Kai crouched and watched as she drew simple markings in the dust symbols that indicated locations, routes, and warnings. It was her way of communicating, showing him the path she had traveled and the places where danger lurked. Kai studied the markings carefully. They told a story. Her people were in danger, not from humans, but from a faction within their own species. This faction sought to control information and power, silencing those who threatened their authority. The girl had escaped with vital knowledge. Knowledge that could save her people from disaster. Kai nodded slowly, impressed by her courage. "You've done well to get this far," he said. "But we need to keep moving. They'll be looking for you, and we can't let them catch us off guard." The girl made a low clicking sound, acknowledging his words. She rose gracefully, and together they continued along the canyon. Kai pointed out ways to move quietly, using shadows and natural cover to stay hidden. She followed his instructions carefully, adapting quickly. And Kai realized that their combined skills made them far more capable than either would be alone. By midday, they reached a narrow ridge that overlooked a vast plateau. From this vantage point, Kai could see the full canyon and the surrounding terrain. He pointed out potential threats, noting areas where ambushes could occur or where the enemy might track them. The girl listened intently, nodding in understanding. Kai realized something important. This partnership was not just about survival. It was about trust, strategy, and understanding. He had learned to read her secret, and she was beginning to see that humans could be allies, not just intruders. Together, they formed an alliance one that combined human ingenuity with alien skill. As they moved along the ridge, the girl paused suddenly. Her eyes flickered toward a distant shape, barely visible against the rocks. Kai crouched beside her, peering through the dust and light. A small patrol from her own species moved carefully along the canyon floor, searching for her. Kai's heart raced. "We need to avoid them," he whispered. "Follow my lead." He pointed to a narrow crevice in the ridge, just large enough for the girl to slip through. Using his knowledge of human engineering and terrain, Kai guided her carefully, making sure they remained unseen. The girl followed silently, trusting his judgment completely. Once they were safely hidden, Kai let out a quiet breath. "That was close," he said. The girl glanced at him, her glowing eyes conveying a mixture of relief and gratitude. They stayed in hiding for a while, resting and observing the patrol. Kai used the time to plan their next move, considering routes that would take them closer to her people while avoiding detection. He realized that their journey would be long and dangerous. But with careful strategy, they could succeed. As the sun began to dip again, Kai and the alien girl moved cautiously across the plateau, using shadows and rocks for cover. The landscape was harsh, but Kai's knowledge of terrain and her agility made them a formidable pair. They communicated silently through gestures, subtle signals, and careful observation, forming a rhythm that made them almost invisible to any observer. During a brief pause, Kai spoke softly. "You're not just running," he said. "You're fighting for something greater. I can see it in your actions, in your determination. You're brave, and your people are lucky to have you." The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes reflecting a faint smile, or at least what Kai interpreted as a smile. She made a soft, approving sound, a gesture of acknowledgement. For the first time, she seemed to accept him not just as an ally, but as someone who could understand her mission. Night fell again over the plateau. Kai found a small overhang where they could rest. The alien girl settled beside him, her body relaxed but still alert. Kai shared his rations, and she accepted them silently. For a moment, there was peace. A fragile calm in the midst of danger, Kai gazed up at the stars, thinking about the journey ahead. They had formed an alliance, combining human ingenuity and alien skill, but the dangers were far from over. The faction that pursued her was relentless, and their motives were dark. But Kai felt a sense of hope. Together they had a chance not just to survive, but to succeed in delivering her warning and protecting her people. The alien girl shifted slightly beside him, her glowing eyes scanning the plateau. Kai understood that she was learning to trust him, even as the dangers around them grew. He smiled faintly, realizing that this alliance was more than a partnership. It was a bond formed in the face of fear and uncertainty, one that could carry them through the trials to come. As the night deepened, the wind carried faint whispers through the canyon. Kai and the alien girl stayed alert, but for the first time, they allowed themselves a moment of rest. They knew the journey ahead would be difficult, full of dangers and challenges. But they also knew they were stronger together. Kai thought about what lay ahead, the long trek to her people, the obstacles they would face, and the cunning of the faction pursuing her. But he also thought about something else, the proof that humans could rise to the occasion, act with courage, and protect life, even in the harshest circumstances. For the alien girl, it was the first time she allowed herself to believe that humans could be trusted. For Kai, it was the first time he realized that understanding another species and knowing their secrets could make all the difference in the galaxy. And so, under the twin moons that began to rise over the plateau, Kai and the alien girl rested, readying themselves for the journey ahead. Together, they were not just surviving, they were forming a bond that would guide them through the dangers of Epsilon 9 and perhaps beyond. The wind had changed by the time Kai and the alien girl reached the edge of the plateau. Dust swirled in thin sheets, carrying the faint scent of minerals and heat from the sun-baked rocks below. Kai crouched behind a jagged boulder, scanning the canyon floor for signs of movement. The alien girl moved beside him silently, her glowing blue eyes narrowing as she studied the terrain. Something was coming, and both of them could feel it. Kai spoke softly, careful not to startle her. "They're close," he said. "We have to be ready." The girl's posture stiffened. She crouched lower, her fingers flexing instinctively, ready to react to any sudden threat. Kai noted the subtle flicker in her glowing Iza, signal of heightened alert. He had seen it before in humans under stress, and now he realized that despite her alien physiology, fear and focus manifested in similar ways. They waited, motionless, listening to the faint rumble in the distance. Dust clouds rose slowly along the canyon floor. Kai could make out the shapes now, small, lithe figures moving with purpose, using the rocks for cover. It was the faction, and they were hunting with precision. Kai whispered, "We need a plan. Speed alone won't save us. We have to use the terrain to our advantage." The alien girl's eyes flickered, acknowledging his words. She had power, yes, but against a group trained to anticipate her moves, it would not be enough. They needed strategy, and Kai had it. He began pointing to key features of the canyon rocky outcroppings, narrow ledges, and shadowed crevices. Together, they would turn the terrain into a trap for their pursuers. Kai motioned toward a narrow ravine ahead. "We'll move there. It's tight, but it slows them down. They won't be able to use their full speed, and that gives us the advantage." The girl nodded slightly, moving with graceful precision. Her footsteps were silent against the rocks, a ghostly contrast to the sound of the approaching faction. Kai followed, staying close and keeping low. Every sense was alert. Every instinct was focused as they entered the ravine. Kai noticed something unusual, small depressions in the rock, almost like footprints, but not human. He realized that the faction had been here before, setting traps. His heart quickened. They would have to move carefully to avoid triggering them. "Watch the ground," he whispered. "Step where I step." The girl followed his lead, trusting him implicitly. Together, they navigated the narrow path, avoiding loose rocks and hidden traps. The sounds of pursuit grew louder, the figures of their hunters coming into view. Kai could see the glint of their weapons in the sunlight, and the faint shimmer of their cloaking devices. Kai crouched behind a large boulder, motioning for the girl to do the same. "We need a distraction," he said. "Something that will make them think we went one way while we slip another." The girl tilted her head, understanding immediately. She moved to a nearby ledge, picking up small rocks and tossing them carefully to create false movement. The faction paused, following the noise, giving Kai and the alien girl a chance to move silently along a shadowed path that led deeper into the ravine. Kai felt a surge of hope. They had worked together perfectly, combining human ingenuity and alien skill. But he knew the danger was not over. The faction would regroup, and they would continue hunting. They'd only bought themselves temporary safety. As they moved deeper into the canyon, Kai spoke softly. "We're doing well. Keep focused. We're not safe yet, but we have the advantage for now." The alien girl's eyes glowed faintly, a sign of acknowledgement. She moved with fluid grace, following his lead. Kai realized that she had begun to trust him completely, not just his words, but his instincts and his understanding of her secret. Suddenly, the sound of movement echoed from above. Kai looked up and saw figures descending from the cliffs, using ropes and climbing gear. The faction had anticipated their path. Kai's mind raced. They were surrounded on two sides, with the narrow canyon walls limiting their options. "Split up," he whispered. "I'll draw their attention one way. You move to the ledge on the right. It's narrow, but it leads to safety." The alien girl hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She understood the risk, but she also knew it was their best chance. With a final glance, she sprinted toward the ledge. Moving like a shadow along the rocks, Kai waited until she was out of sight, then stepped into the open. He raised his arms, shouting to attract attention. The faction paused, focusing on him. He darted from one rock to another, making noise, throwing small stones to simulate movement. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. Every step was calculated. Every gesture was deliberate. The faction responded exactly as he predicted, splitting to follow him. Kai led them toward a narrow choke point where the canyon walls rose almost vertically. Using a small panel of loose rocks, he triggered a minor rock slide. The stones tumbled down, blocking the path temporarily and forcing the faction to pause. Kai took the opportunity to slip into a shadowed crevice. Watching as the alien girl appeared on the ledge above, she waved subtly, signaling that she had made it safely. Relief washed over him. Together, they had survived the first confrontation, but the danger was far from over. The faction regrouped quickly, scanning the canyon for signs of them. Kai knew they would be relentless. He motioned for the girl to descend carefully toward a secondary ravine that led to a hidden stream. The stream offered cover and a place to rest. It also required careful navigation. As they moved toward the stream, Kai spoke softly. "We need to stay ahead of them. Always one step ahead. They'll adapt, but so will we. Trust your instincts and trust me." The girl's eyes glowed brighter, a sign of understanding. She moved with precision, following his lead through the twisting paths and shadowed rocks. They reached the stream safely, crouching beside the water to drink and rest. Kai looked at her, noting the tension slowly leaving her body. "We made it," he said softly. "But we can't stay long. They'll be searching the canyon soon." The girl nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting determination. She gestured toward the distant horizon, indicating the location of her people. Kai understood immediately they had to move quickly, avoiding detection. And reach her people before the faction could interfere? They set off again, using the cover of dusk to move silently across the canyon floor. The terrain was difficult, with sharp rocks and sudden drops. But Kai guided her expertly, combining human experience with her natural agility. Every step was careful, every movement deliberate. As night fell, they reached a small plateau that offered a vantage point over the surrounding canyon. Kai scanned the area, noting shadows and movement. The faction was still searching, but they had not detected them yet. He allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. Strategy and trust had carried them this far. The alien girl crouched beside him, her glowing eyes scanning the horizon. Kai realized that their bond had grown stronger through the confrontation. They were no longer simply allies. They had become a team, relying on each other's skills and instincts to survive. Kai spoke softly, breaking the silence. "We'll rest here for a short while. We need energy for the final stretch to your people, but we can't lose focus. One mistake and they could catch us." The girl nodded, making a low, approving sound. She leaned back slightly, allowing herself a moment of rest, but her eyes remained alert. Kai knew that trust was fragile, but this moment showed that they had found a rhythm human and alien. Working together against overwhelming odds, the night deepened, and the stars emerged above the canyon, casting silver light on the rocks. Kai and the alien girl stayed hidden in the shadows, resting while remaining vigilant. The wind carried distant sounds of movement, but they were far enough away for now. Kai reflected on the confrontation. They had faced danger together and survived, but the real test was still ahead. The faction was relentless, and their determination to stop the alien girl would not waver. But Kai also knew that knowledge, strategy, and trust gave them a unique advantage. By working together, they could outthink and outmaneuver their pursuers. The alien girl shifted slightly, her glowing eyes meeting his. In that silent moment, Kai realized the depth of their bond. She trusted him with her life, and he understood her mission completely. Together they were stronger than either alone, Kai whispered softly. "Tomorrow, we continue. We'll reach your people, and we'll make sure they get the warning. Nothing will stop us." The alien girl responded with a faint approving sound, her body relaxing slightly. They stayed close, sharing a silent understanding that their alliance had carried them through the first real test. And as the night wrapped the canyon in darkness, Kai knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, strategically, courageously, and with trust guiding every step. The confrontation had proven one thing: strength alone was not enough. Survival depended on knowledge, strategy, and the bond between two unlikely allies, human and alien, united against a common threat. And with that understanding, Kai and the alien girl rested briefly, knowing that the next day would bring even greater challenges and an opportunity to secure the future of her people. The first light of dawn crept over the jagged cliffs of Epsilon 9, turning the rocks a soft gold. Kai and the alien girl were already moving, careful not to disturb the quiet of the early morning. The canyon below stretched wide, revealing paths and hidden routes that only someone familiar with the terrain could navigate. Kai led the way, his eyes scanning every ridge, every shadow, every possible hiding spot. The alien girl followed closely, moving like a shadow beside him, her glowing blue eyes alert. "This is it," Kai whispered. "Your people are just beyond this ridge. We have to stay focused. One wrong step, and we could alert the faction." The alien girl nodded, her eyes reflecting determination. She had grown to trust Kai completely, and he could see it in the way she moved, less cautious, more confident, but still aware of danger. They had been through narrow escapes, traps, and tense confrontations, and yet their bond had only grown stronger. Together, they were ready to face the final challenge. As they crested the ridge, the view opened to a hidden valley, lush with green vegetation and fed by a winding stream. It was the secret homeland of her people, shielded from outsiders by cliffs and natural barriers. Kai's heart lifted. After days of danger, they had made it. But the moment of relief was short-lived. Kai crouched low, motioning for the girl to do the same. "Look," he whispered. "They're here." A group from the faction had arrived in the valley just ahead of them. The alien girl stiffened, her glowing eyes narrowing. She knew the faction would try to intercept her before she could deliver the warning. She looked at Kai, silent but tense, waiting for a plan. Kai scanned the area quickly, noting the terrain. There were rocks for cover, narrow pathways that only one person could navigate at a time, and a small bridge over the stream that could serve as a choke point. He whispered his strategy. "You take the left path through the rocks. I'll draw their attention across the bridge. Once they follow me, you move quickly to your people." The girl's eyes flickered, and she gave a subtle nod. She trusted him completely. Kai took a deep breath and stepped into view, raising his arms to attract attention. The faction noticed immediately, their glowing weapons trained on him. He darted forward, throwing rocks and using the terrain to make himself appear in different places at once. The faction split to follow him, just as he had predicted, from the rocks. The alien girl moved swiftly, slipping past the distracted faction members. She leaped with agility, using her speed and skill to navigate the narrow paths. Kai watched for a moment, relief washing over him. She was moving well fast, silent and precise. The faction quickly realized they had been tricked. Kai ducked behind a boulder as they regrouped, shouting orders to each other in their alien language. He had only seconds to act. Using his knowledge of the terrain, he triggered a small landslide, sending rocks tumbling down the canyon and creating a barrier between himself and the faction. The alien girl reached the edge of the hidden valley and paused, catching her breath. The lush green landscape stretched out before her, and in the distance, she saw her people guards and scouts alert, but unaware of the immediate danger. She sprinted toward them, waving to signal her arrival. Kai stayed behind, drawing the faction further away. He used the last of his energy to navigate the canyon, leading them through traps, sudden drops, and confusing paths. Each move was calculated, designed to slow them down and keep the girl safe. His mind raced, but he remained calm, trusting that his plan would work. Finally, the alien girl reached the edge of her people's gathering. She shouted in her language, and her people immediately reacted, forming a protective line. She pointed toward Kai, signaling that he had drawn the faction away. The leaders of her group quickly organized a response, sending scouts to intercept and trap the pursuing faction members. Kai watched from a distance, making sure the alien girl was safe. He could see her moving among her people, giving instructions, her glowing eyes filled with relief and determination. The faction was now caught between Kai's traps and the defensive formation of her people. Within moments, they were surrounded and forced to retreat. Realizing that they could not win, Kai exhaled slowly, his body relaxing for the first time in days. He had succeeded not just in survival, but in ensuring the safety of the alien girl and her people. He moved cautiously toward the valley, finally stepping into the open where she could see him. The alien girl ran to him, her glowing eyes softening. She extended her hand in gratitude, and Kai took it, feeling the bond they had formed over the past days. "Thank you," she said softly, in a voice that carried warmth and relief. "You saved me. You saved my people." Kai smiled faintly. "We saved each other," he replied. "I couldn't have done it without you." Her people gathered around, cautious but curious. Kai felt the weight of their gazes, but he did not falter. He knew that humans and her species had always been wary of each other, yet here he stood, accepted and trusted. The alien girl spoke to her people in her language, explaining his actions and the trust she had in him. Slowly, they nodded, understanding and acknowledging the human who had risked everything. Kai turned to the alien girl. "Now that you're safe, you can deliver your warning. Your people will act, and the danger will be avoided. Your mission succeeds." She nodded, a faint glow of pride and relief in her eyes. "I could not have done this without you," she said. "Humans. Sometimes I doubted, but now I see that we can work together." Kai looked at the valley, the green landscape stretching before him, and felt a sense of hope. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to relax. They had faced danger, relied on each other, and survived. But more than survival, they had built something new: trust, respect, and a shared understanding of courage. The alien girl stepped closer. "I want to show you our world," she said. "Not just this valley, but the history and knowledge of my people." "You have proven yourself worthy of our trust," Kai smiled. "I would be honored," he replied, "and I will learn whatever I can. Together, we can make sure that trust and understanding guide us forward." Her people watched quietly, slowly accepting him as an ally. Kai felt the significance of this moment. It was more than saving one life. It was the beginning of a new relationship between humans and her species, built on respect, empathy, and courage. As the suns rose higher in the sky, Kai and the alien girl walked together through the valley. She showed him hidden streams, ancient structures, and the places where her people had lived for generations. Kai listened carefully, learning not only about her species, but about the lessons of survival, trust, and the value of understanding others. The alien girl paused near a high cliff overlooking the valley. She turned to Kai, her glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight. "You have proven that knowledge and compassion are more powerful than force," she said softly. "You understand us in a way few humans ever could. You have made a difference." Kai nodded, feeling the weight and truth of her words. "I've learned from you as well," he said. "Courage, strategy, and trust, those are the things that make the difference, not just strength or weapons." Together, they looked out over the valley, knowing that the dangers of the past days were behind them. The faction had been thwarted, her people were safe, and a new alliance had been formed, one that could change the course of life on Epsilon-9. The alien girl turned to him, her glowing eyes softening. "We will not forget what you have done. Humans and my people can work together, thanks to you," Kai smiled. "And I will not forget you. Together we have shown that courage, knowledge, and trust can overcome even the greatest dangers." As the day progressed, Kai and the alien girl walked among her people, sharing stories and plans for the future. The valley buzzed with activity, preparation, and relief. The faction's threat had been neutralized, and the warning had been delivered successfully. But more importantly, a bond had been formed, a bond that crossed species, languages, and worlds. Kai realized that the universe was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of opportunities for understanding and cooperation. The alien girl had taught him that even in the harshest environments, trust and empathy could create change. And he had shown her that humans could rise to the challenge, protecting life and forming alliances where none had existed before. As the twin suns of Epsilon-9 set, casting long shadows over the valley, Kai and the alien girl stood together at the edge of a cliff. They looked out over the landscape, the valley alive with movement, laughter, and relief. For the first time, both felt a sense of peace hard-earned, but Real Kai turned to her. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. "Your people are safe now, but there is still much to learn, much to protect. Together, we can face whatever comes next." The alien girl nodded, a faint glow of pride and hope in her eyes. "Yes," she said. "Together, we are stronger. And together, we will protect our future." With that shared understanding, Kai and the alien girl walked back toward her people, ready to face whatever the universe might bring, united by trust, courage, and the promise of a new beginning. The journey had tested them, challenged them, and changed them. But in the end, it had also brought them together, forming a bond that would guide both species toward a brighter future. And for Kai, watching the twin suns set over Epsilon 9, he knew that knowledge, empathy, and courage could indeed shape the destiny of worlds.